I'm just home from seeing the Bikeriders, and I have a one-word review for it. Wow.
Some people would rather crash than slow down.
Yes, before we get started too much with my a more word review than just wow, please give a like and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of review content. I'm out here trying to grind my way up to 500 subs, so any type of like and supporting that you can give, I appreciate it. But let's talk about the Bike Riders. This movie was one that I saw trailers for all last year. I think it was originally supposed to come out in December 2023, but it got pushed back now to a summer release. And I think in some ways I appreciate it, and I think this was the right move. One, because last year's award season was so heavy handed and heavy hit. Not saying that's going to not be the case this year, but there were performances in here that would have definitely gotten lost in a batch full of amazing performances in 2023. And the two off the top of my head that wowed me throughout are the performances by Jodie Comer and Tom Hardy. Both these individuals are able to bring a very interesting dynamic character, their accent work, their body language, the way they speak, their dialect, everything about the characters of Kathy and Johnny are mesmerizing for me and kept my eyes glued to the screen throughout. If there's one thing that will always get me excited about movies, it's when characters are able to be acted out in such an interesting and unique way that I fall in love with them and I'm able to just pay attention to them all I want. And to my surprise, it wasn't Austin Butler, who I'll get to in a second, in a very good performance in his own way. It was Jodie Comer off the bat. Her kind of being the narrator of the story as Kathy, her amazing dialect choice, and just how she moves around the scenes, how she acts, just completely was my had my attention from minute one. And Jodie Comer is an actress who I think is just going to be a big player for many years to come. And I'm more and more surprised every time I see her in roles like this, and just how different and how interesting she can be. And the character of Kathy is one that is on a very roller coaster of a journey, being attached to Benny, who's played by Austin Butler, throughout this movie. And Comer is able to display a wide range of emotions, is able to just be interesting in just everyday life, and just be a very original feeling character. Something that she made a big swing at a accent and just posture choice and dialect choice, and I think she hits a home run. I only see that her in this role as Kathy, and that's because of the amazing performance Jodie Comer puts on. And then we get into Tom Hardy playing the bike club leader Johnny, and he gives a wide range of emotions with just his tone, with just his facial features. We all know Tom Hardy is an amazing actor. We've seen him now for over a decade, but this movie reminded me like he is really a top tier of top tier, and when given the chance, he can deliver outstanding performances. And even though a lot of this movie, when I talk more about the story, may feel kind of basic, the reason why I became so attached to it was because performances throughout the movie, and none more highlighted on the biker side than Johnny. The again, interesting, very Midwestern dialect choice. The way he carries himself as a character, as a leader throughout, how he is able to display his different emotions, his struggles, his triumphs, his happiness, his disappointments. Hardy does an amazing job selling this character, and I don't know if he's a lead role for this movie. I don't know who the lead roles are, but for me personally, Tom Hardy and Jodie Comer are my two leads, and they are the two that knock it out of the park and just simply steal the show for me. And then there's Austin Butler. Austin Butler, who we've seen play more flamboyant characters like Elvis, like one of the Harkonnens in Dune Part 2. he's just an amazing actor himself. But here he plays Benny, a much more quieter, much more stoic character who just kind of likes to ride, and that's his kind of where he's at. He has his own complexities to him, and Butler does such a good job keeping this character feeling stoic, able to tell a huge array of stories just from his facial expressions. And there's very little dialogue in this movie, but he nails it down so well. Again, it's another instance where Austin Butler and his acting skills is worthy of a ton of praise. And I've seen him be more flamboyant like Elvis. I've seen him kind of be, intense and action packed in Dune Part 2. And here he's quiet, he's stoic, and he is very vulnerable in parts of this movie when he needs to be vulnerable. And he's very not vulnerable in other parts of the movie. I think he hits a lot of things through. And the character of Benny kind of being displaced between Kathy and Johnny in the struggle of where Benny's loyalties lie, Austin Butler is able to deliver a very stoically quiet, strong performance. But littered throughout this whole entire movie on the biker side are so many great actors and characters and things that got me attached to them. Michael Shannon has a character in this movie that he's able to give a line and talk, in the middle of the movie that just Michael Shannon again shows why he's a great actor. I'm so happy that he's in it. Norman Reedus even shows up as a out of town biker per se, and he gives a great performance where he does. So much of this movie is built on great performances layered throughout this cast, and bringing out interesting characters throughout this cast that I kind of became attached to and I cared about. Because if there's one thing you can complain about this movie is that I think the story feels very basic. It's not bringing anything new to the table. But when it comes for me personally, that isn't why I always like to go to the movies. I'm somebody who's a lot more actor and character focused, but I do know there's people out there who are more story focused that are looking for an engaging, enthralling story. And I do think if there is one weak part of the Bikeriders, kind of based off a true story, kind of documentary novel, it's going to be that it's a very rudimentary story and it's not too, awe inspiring and groundbreaking. But for me, the groundbreaking parts and the parts that kept me enthralled and engaged throughout the whole entire runtime are the acting, the characters, and so much more about the movie. The set design, the sound design, just the way the movie has you feel, the clothing that takes place, the costume and makeuping. This movie feels lived in the time period that it's set, this mid late 60s and early 70s, and everything about the movie with the characters and the setting and everything like that really engaged me throughout and made me enjoy this movie a whole lot more than I was expecting. And this is one of my most anticipated movies coming here recently for summertime because I love these trailers and I've been wanting to see this. I think it'll still be eligible for the Oscars this upcoming year, but like I said in my short review, I can see this getting some, early Josker nomination hyped, my end of year award season, and I'm giving this a straight up diamond. Again, if you're more story focused, maybe this is something you should check out on streaming because I don't think it has a big groundbreaking story. But if you're like me and you love characters, if you love really interesting acting performances, this has some decent action throughout. If you kind of like that time period of the late '60s and early '70s type period piece, go see this movie. It's in theaters right now. It's very different from a lot of the Hollywood blockbusters you're going to get during summertime, and it delivers some amazing performance and characters that are engaging and enthralling. And just shout out once again to Tom Hardy and the amazing Jodie Comer because those two leading roles of Kathy and Johnny were just big swings by both the director and the actors here. And for me, it was a home run at bat. So those are my thoughts on the Bike Rider. It gets a high diamond, high recommendation from me. I love this movie, and I can't wait to see where it ends up at my end of the year rankings because right now, no spoilers, it's pretty damn high. So until my next review, I hope you guys all have an interesting and fun time out there. And tell me what movies you've been seeing this summer in the comments down below, as well as like and subscribe for more content like this. But I will see you later, and yeah, the Bike Riders. Wow.